Welcome back, friends. This is our gentle flow to feel good and stretch. So we're not going to do anything too strenuous today, but you're going to want to make sure that you are in clothing that's going to move with your body. Prop wise, you don't actually need any props, but if you like to have a little bit of extra support underneath your knees for any knee down postures, I highly recommend a blanket. And if you have a block, it might be nice to have nearby. We will take a malasana in this practice, which is our yogi squat. And sometimes it can be nice to add a little bit of support, but again, not required, just options. So go ahead, roll out your mat if it's not already, and meet me lying down on your back. So just making your way there. Once you get there, take those feet about as wide as your yoga mat. Let your knees knock in towards one another. Hands can rest down by your side or just wherever feels comfortable and supportive. Let yourself soften into your breath. Coming into just a really gentle space of ease. Really trying not to force anything. Knowing that for these next 20 minutes, this time is yours. You've set it aside for yourself. So see if you can actually give it to yourself. Just a couple more breaths. Take your arms down by your side and start to bring your feet hips width distance. You can almost tickle those ankles with your fingertips and then start to tuck that tailbone in. How lift the hips up. And as you do, reach your arms up and overhead. Exhale, lower it back down. So it's a rolling bridge pose. We're not trying to take this super high right now. Inhale, find that lift. Arms reach. Exhale and lower. Taking 3 more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. And I already lost count, so inhale, lift. Let's take one more together. Exhale and lower. This time, keep your arms long by your side. Tuck that tailbone. Inhale, lift those hips up. And again, we're not trying to think about lifting up as high as we possibly can or as high as we might in a later part of a practice. Right now, we're just thinking about starting to warm things up, starting to get a little bit of activation. Take one more inhale. Exhale, slowly lower back down and just go ahead and bring your knees into your chest. Take some gentle rocks side to side. You might even circle your knees around if that feels good. And if you took those circles, make sure you take them in the other direction as well. It can be at whatever speed feels really nice for you. And start to rock up and down, moving along the length of your spine. And eventually just go ahead and rock up and meet me in a tabletop position. Knees under shoulders. Oh, excuse me, that is not how it works. Knees under hips, wrists under shoulders. Oh my goodness. Inhale, drop your belly, lift your gaze, coming through cow pose. Exhale, belly button to spine, chin to chest for cat. Inhale, we move through that cow pose, heart shines forward, gaze pulls forward. Exhale is that cat, spine rounds, pulling up towards the ceiling. And feel free at any point here to start to take this cat and cow on your own. Moving with the pace of your breath. Maybe noticing if anything else might feel nice, a sway of the hips side to side. Gazing over one shoulder or the other. Maybe it looks like lingering in your cat pose or your cow pose for an extra breath or so. Take 2 more rounds. Coming back through our tabletop, curl your toes under, start to send your hips up and back, finding a downward facing dog, maybe pedaling out your feet, bending one knee, bending the other. Moving slow, easing into this practice, this really gentle flow. And at any point, if it feels good to you to just land in stillness, you can do that. We'll take a few more breaths here. So if you want to keep adding some movement, you can. If you want to find stillness and feel that chest pressing back towards your thighs, maybe you'll bring a bend, maybe a big bend, maybe a small bend to those knees. And inhale that right leg high behind you, 3-legged dog. Exhale, bend that right knee, stack your hips open. It's a 3-legged dog with a twist. I like to roll out my ankle a little bit here, so maybe you take some rolls if that feels good. Maybe you make some circles with the knee, letting the leg move around in the hip a little bit. And then inhale, square your hips back with your mat. Exhale, step that right foot to the outside of that right hand. Let the left knee soften down. So this is where it can be really nice if you have that blanket to add some support under the knee, but choice is yours. You can stay on tall arms. You can come down onto your forearms. For me today, this is going to look like staying on tall arms, finding length through the spine. Again, just focusing on that breath. One of the fastest ways that we can come into presence is simply by focusing on our breath. So even though I haven't guided you into any specific breath pattern or practice, I am going to keep guiding your attention and your awareness to your breath. We're allowing you to think about sending that breath down to all the places where you might be feeling this stretch. And sometimes even in a lizard lunge like this, I like to take some just small movements. Sometimes that looks like some sways, just helping open up the hips. We carry a lot of stress and tension in our hips. So it can be especially nice to help ourselves work through that. Take 2 more breaths. And then keep that left hand down on the mat. Take that right hand, bring it on the inside of the right thigh. We just add a little bit of a twist towards that right knee. You could also take that right arm up towards the ceiling if that works better for you here. Take that right hand back down to the mat. Curl those left toes under. Start to step that left foot to the outside of the left hand. Let your hips sink down towards the mat. Hands at heart center. Elbows are on the inside of those knees. And if you did grab a block today, you could slide that block right under your seat for a supported malasana. So I'll turn towards you for a moment so you can see your options here. We are on the block. In this variation, you can take that block to whatever height is most available for you, or we could just slide that block out of the way and take this malasana like this. If this is a lot for your hips, I just want you to come up a little bit higher. So meeting yourself where you're at. I really like this supported. I like the supported option for myself today. So this is where I'm going to land. Just a couple more breaths. And then start to take your hips high, hands to the mat. If you used a block, go ahead and move that out of the way. Heel toe your feet in and just step yourself back to a downward facing dog. Take a couple breaths. And then inhale that left leg high. Exhale, bend the knees, stack the hip open. And then again, maybe you take those ankle circles in both directions. Maybe you take knee circles if those were available and felt nice on the other side. And then inhale, square your hips back with the mat. And step that left foot to the outside of the left hand. Right knee is going to soften down. We start in this lizard lunge. And so again, maybe you have that blanket underneath your knee. Maybe you're on tall arms. Maybe you're on forearms. Maybe you take some gentle movements. And I use my breath as an anchor, as a point of focus, especially in some poses where we get really deep into our hips like this. I'm not looking for you to be in pain in any capacity, but it can get a little uncomfortable. So meeting yourself where you're at, backing out for a moment if you need to, coming back and meeting us if you can. But at no point, if you are in pain, do I want you to stay there. I want you to back out. So if you were on forearms, we're going to keep that right hand down. That left hand's now going to come on the inside of the left thigh or left hand up towards the ceiling. Whatever variation of this twist feels best for you. And we're here for about 5 breaths. And take that left hand back down to the mat. Curl those right toes under. Go ahead and step that right foot to the outside of the right hand. Sink the hips down. Just a couple more breaths in a malasana. We're not going to be here as long as we were on the other side. Bring your hands down to the mat. Send your hips high. You can grab on to opposite elbows. You can take some gentle sways side to side. You might shake the head yes, shake it no, releasing any tension in the neck. And then bringing your hands back down to the mat, heel toe your feet in, come all the way down onto a seat. We're going to lower onto our backs. We are in the home stretch of this gentle stretch. Bring your knees into your chest. Take a nice big breath in. Exhale, drop both knees over to the left. Right arm can come out to the right. You could cactus your arm if you're short on space here, like I am. You can gaze up towards the ceiling or maybe over that right shoulder, whatever works better for your neck today. Inhale, let your knees come back through to center. And then exhale, drop them over to the right. Left arm out, making any adjustments here, not trying to twist too deeply here. If you have that blanket, you could slide it in between the knees if you want a little bit of support between the knees. And bring those knees back through to center. And then take your knees out nice and wide. Take your hands, grab onto the bottoms of your feet. It could be the inside or the outside of your feet. And then lift those feet up. As if you're making footprints on the ceiling. We're in a happy baby pose. Feel free to take some gentle rocks side to side. You could play with straightening one leg or straightening the other. Maybe noticing what your inner happy baby, your inner child is needing out of this practice here. This is our final moment before Shavasana. So if there's something that's calling your name that you want to take here, please feel free. And releasing those feet. Go ahead and extend the legs out long. Arms resting down by your side. Just about a minute or so in our Shavasana. This is our opportunity to integrate, seeing if you can let go of any places you might be holding on here. Allow the body to fully soften, to melt into our yoga mat. Bring some small movements back to the body. Slowly reawakening Maybe taking a big good morning stretch, reaching fingertips to toes. And rolling over onto your favorite side, finding a fetal posture. And pressing yourself up to a seat. Roots down, crown high, lifting through the spine. Inhale, sweep those arms out nice and wide. Let your palms meet overhead. Exhale, pull your hands down through heart center. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you are feeling really good physically, mentally, and emotionally. Om Shanti, peace. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, please take a moment to do so. It helps more people find free practices just like this. So hopefully we can all find the ability to quiet a little bit more of the noise that is constantly coming at us. If you don't already have my free daily practice calendar, the link is in the description below. It is a month of practices helped to meet you where you are at on any given day and take all of the guesswork out of your practice. I will see you back on your mats for your next practice.